Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here at JP Football Fanatics here on YouTube. Live right here, right now on the East Coast at 9 o'clock. For those who are watching at the moment right now, thank you for tuning in. We've got one person in so far. That's good to see. Let's hope we build up on that, those kind of things for tonight. We want to make sure that we're getting more people in for tonight's show, in which we're going to be doing, as we already know, as you can tell by the title of this video, for tonight, we're going to be doing my Week 5 predictions for the NFL season, which is going to be starting on Thursday Night Football tomorrow at 8:15. Sorry, 8:15. Sorry, I have a lot of things going on in the house right now. A lot of bells ringing, I guess you could say, or ringers going off and whatnot. So, those will start turning off eventually. But it's good to see everybody again. We just had another person tune in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Looking forward to another great show with you all tonight. For those who were able to tune in last night, I appreciate all of your support and the love that you guys have been giving me these last the month and a half, close to 2 months. I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. So thank you for everything that you guys have been doing for me. It means a lot. It really helps me improve on as far as my podcasts go and how I can make it better. And it's going to get better from here on out. I know right now it's a little bit lagging because of views and whatnot there, but you know what? It doesn't matter to me as long as the channel slowly grows or there's people that go on and they watch it and they like the material. That's all I care about. I don't really care all that much as far as the amount of views I get or anything like that. I mean, someday it would be nice to get as many views as people like Bottom Line View and all those kind of big time commentators and stuff like that. I mean, it would be great to have that that camaraderie of being on YouTube and getting more views, but it will happen eventually. It'll just take a little bit to get going with that. But while we have two people on, hopefully more people will tune on for tonight. Make sure you guys hit the like button down below on this video, so that way I know that you guys are liking my videos, and so that way you can do what you want to do. So like this video if you like it. Also, you can leave a comment down below as well, too, so that way you guys can help me out to the best of your ability. To help me grow this YouTube channel to be as strong as ever. So if you're able to do that, that's great. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Also hit that subscribe button. I already talked ahead of myself too soon, but comment, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also be able to hit that notification bell as well. That's really going to help you out, and it will help me out as far as getting myself prepared and whatnot. And hopefully I'll have more material coming out in the near future for what you guys have liked. I had one request so far from a friend of ours, and that's good to hear about one request. So that'll be something to do in the near future. Maybe I'll try to get that video out this weekend. So please be sure to be out on the lookout for that. So yeah, that's all I got to say on that right now. So without further ado, we are going to get started regardless of the amount of people we have in here right now. We're going to get started with the first game I'm going to give my first prediction of, and maybe my score too if I feel like it. We'll see if I feel confident in it. So our first game that's going to be happening on Thursday Night Football tomorrow night is the Indianapolis Colts, who travel to play the Broncos in Denver, or some people call it Mile High. So the Broncos here, which is a little bit surprising, but at the same time, I guess not really. The Broncos are favored by 3 points even in this game. It's a tough game to pick. I know it was one of my one of those sneaky good games that I kind of thought was going to be good earlier in the season. I thought this would have been a really good game just because, with the two quarterbacks playing the different teams with Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson, it'd be kind of neat to see how they really do in their respective new teams as far as that goes. But right now, neither team is, to be quite honest with you, neither team is really all that great right now. The Colts, on the other side right now, they're struggling offensively. They're struggling on that offensive line, which is right now, I believe, might be overrated. Maybe one of the most overrated lines in the league. And Matt Ryan's just not playing the kind of football that I was expecting to play once he was drafted to Indianapolis. So Indianapolis has a lot of problems right now. Jonathan Taylor's also hurt, so they're dealing with some injuries on the offense that's been struggling this year. But also keep in mind too, the Broncos also just lost their starting running back for the rest of the year, Javonte Williams, who is an absolute beast. who is also a running back that no defender wants to face. So he's not going to be there. So I would believe that most of the snaps would either go to Matt Boone or if it's going to go to Melvin Gordon, either one of those two. They may be splitting some time in the running game, or if they decide to really go with the running game. Don't know if I would really want to with Melvin Gordon starting in my backfield, knowing he's already fumbled 4 times this season. This early in the season is ridiculous. But the Colts are also struggling too. They have a lot of turnover issues too. But both defenses, I believe, have been playing really fine. To be quite honest with you, I like both defenses. I think they're holding up to expectations rather than their offense, which was kind of what everybody thought, including myself, thought would have been the more of the vocal point in that. That department, but it hasn't really happened yet. I haven't seen much offense on either team yet, the Colts or the Broncos. So it's honestly a tough game for me to pick, really, because both teams are dealing with injuries. Both teams are really lacking right now offensively. They just can't get anything started. But I believe, and I was listening to Bottom Line View right before I actually did my live stream, that he picked the Colts to win this game. And just kind of really thinking about it, I was going to go with Denver because I feel like Denver is maybe a slightly better team. I think Russell Wilson's slightly better of a quarterback than Matt Ryan right now. But at the same time, Matt Ryan, the Colts, Frank Reich is a good coach. Despite with all the criticism he does get, I don't think he deserves um, that much criticism as he is getting right now. So, but I think he's done really good jobs with like teams that he has coached in the past where they haven't really started out exactly the way that he wanted to have his team start out, and then they kind of come back and they start looking hot. That kind of happened last year too, although they missed the playoffs. So I can see the Colts winning this game. I think it will be very hard for them to win this game, especially in Mile High, because that's a really tough place to play. Anytime you play in Colorado is tough. It's a different environment of football. People over there are different breeds than they are over in the Midwest. So it's going to be a little bit different for them. But I believe the Colts. I think I'm going to pick the Colts to win this one straight up. Not sure if they'll cover the spread. I think that's a little bit daunting to pick the spread for the +3 in this game. So I think you're just better off betting on the under in this game, if I'm being honest with you. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think both defenses are going to have a really hard time, make life difficult for both offenses to really score on one another. So I'm thinking the under would be the best bet for you to bet on. So I'm going to take the Colts, and I would take the under. I wouldn't go too far into the spreading aspect of things because I just don't think I don't think either team is really going to cover the spread like it suggests. All right, next game is the New York G-Men, the New York Giants, who are going to be, well, I guess you could say the home team would be Green Bay, but it's not in Green Bay. It's actually going to be in London. It's one of the early game in Week 5 at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday, so that's something to really keep in mind of. So the G-Men are going to be facing Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers. So I like this matchup a lot. I think the Giants can have some success with the Packers. I think where they're going to expose the Packers the most in is running the ball to Saquon Barkley all the time. I think the more you run with Saquon, the more yardage, the more difficulty you're going to give the Green Bay's Packers defense, especially in their run defense that has not shown any sign of improvement yet. So I feel like the Giants will be successful in the running the ball. However, I feel like with all the receivers that are injured right now, if you even have Kadarius Toney start for you as a starting receiver, that you would be much better off in doing that. But regardless on that, it's going to be kind of a difference maker on who's going to be quarterback in this game. We know Daniel Jones got hurt in last week's game against Chicago. It was not a pretty sight, but he came back to the game and he won. And Tyrod Taylor's also out who also played a little bit in that Bears game last week. And not for nothing, Tyrod Taylor's always getting injured. So it does not shock me that he got injured. And Jones gets injured a lot too, which is the reason why the G-Men did not give him the 5th-year contract signing. So Yeah, it's a tough game, but I think Green Bay ultimately is the better team overall. I think any team that you have with Aaron Rodgers is really should be a heavy favorite. If I'm being honest with you, they should be a heavy favorite um, in that aspect. But I think the Giants' defense, I think they're going to do really well. I think they can give life difficulty to Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in the backfield. Their secondary in their pass rush has been actually not as bad as it was the last few years. I think it looks better. They look like they're able to get pressure on the quarterback. They look like they're able to be consistent. They look like they're able to make coverages and make some big plays. When the ball is given down the field, and also take into consideration Aaron Rodgers no longer has Devontae Adams, so that's a big difference maker as he still continues to struggle to find his number one starting receiver in this league. So I think just to be safe than sorry, and I'm sorry, G-Men. I'm sorry, they're my G-Men. I love them. But I think I'm going to take this game and give it to the Packers. I think the Packers do win this game. I think the Giants can give them a closer game than the score suggests. I think it will be a lot closer game than people think. It could be very similar to what we saw last week with the Packers and how they played New England at home last week, which wasn't very pretty of a win for them. So I think they can take advantage of what Aaron Rodgers struggles with right now and finding his new receiver, his new toy to play around with. So that'll be something to look forward to. And I think the Giants can do a lot in terms of Saquon Barkley and running all over the Packers defense. So I'm taking the Packers to win, though. I think any team you have with Aaron Rodgers, he deserves to be credited for. And despite not having all of his receivers, he still looks very good considering with what the weapons that he does have on this team. So that's why I'm taking Green Bay. But I'm not sure. I would avoid betting on this game. I think eight is not only it's a lot of points for um, this game, but also it's in London too. So that will be kind of difficult to really suggest on whether or not they're really getting like the real home field advantage. All right, the Detroit Lions, who are facing the New England Patriots, who are favored by 3 points even. This game, I know Bill Belichick does a good job against young quarterbacks and quarterbacks who've been in the league for a while. I know he's done a really good job against Jared Goff the last time he met. He really really went to town on Jared Goff, and last couple of times he did, and Jared Goff got the best of him the last time when he was with the Rams. So but it's a game that's kind of close. I think it really depends with the Patriots and who the quarterback is going to be. I think no matter who you put in a quarterback, I think they can absolutely really sling the ball down the field and be able to absolutely torch the Lions' very, very bad secondary and defense as a whole. I think there's a lot of glowing parts in their defense where the Patriots will have success in being able to score touchdowns and field goals, possibly. I think they'll have some good advantages there. But what also kind of concerns me too a little bit is, like I said, it's going to be quarterback position. I know Bailey Zappi, if he is starting this week, because I doubt Mac Jones is. At least I haven't heard anything new as far as him starting yet. And if he is starting, please somebody let me know in the comments, or I'll make an annotation and I'll fix my mistake if I'm wrong about that. But right now, I don't believe Mac Jones is playing in this game. I don't believe he is. And if he doesn't play in this game, it does make things a little bit more interesting. And it also kind of brings down the spread against the spread kind of score, if that makes sense. So I see why they're favored by 3. I would avoid betting on this game because I can definitely, absolutely see the Lions winning this game, no doubt about it. But I could also see the Patriots running away with this game and winning just because of Bill Belichick and what he does. He makes the best of what he's got. So I could definitely see that happening. But I think I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to worry about, I wouldn't recommend betting on this game this week. I'll take the Patriots to win the straight up, I think. Okay, I'll take the Patriots to win the straight up. As much as I really want Detroit, I just feel like with coaching and Bill Belichick, with the amount of years he has in coaching, and just knowing with the weapons that he has and the quarterback that he is going to have, he's going to do the absolute best that he possibly can to make sure that he gives Detroit the issues that everybody else can see. So I'm going to take the Patriots to cover the straight up. I think they win the game. And also, I probably would say if you're going to bet on the game, I guess the spread wouldn't be so bad. So or look at the over and under. So, or the money line, either or works. So that's how I look at it on this game. But I would definitely avoid betting on this game. But if you're gonna bet, just focus on the money line or focus on the over under, because I don't know if they're going to cover the spread or not. Just considering with all the issues that the Patriots have right now. All right, next game we've got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 3-point favorites against the Cleveland Browns, and they're playing in Cleveland. So the Browns are coming off of a tough loss against the Falcons, as we all know. The Chargers are coming off of a win against the Texans that they were absolutely positively destroying the Texans, but the Texans came all the way back. They almost won that game, and the Chargers did just enough to be able to close out the game. So I could definitely see this game being just like it was last year, really high scoring. You'll see Justin Herbert go absolutely bonkers and just throw so many touchdowns and torch up the defense that we all know the Browns defense isn't really the greatest and especially with secondary and real deep threats. So they'll definitely be tested this week in Justin Herbert, knowing with what he's capable of doing, but also the Browns too, which is something the Chargers do struggle with, and they have to think about too, is their running game. Their running game is something that I think a lot of defenses right now are really having a hard time stopping. I don't think there's many teams that stop like a dynamic duo of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think it's really hard to stop both of those running backs, as they're both very good, close to near borderline, maybe elite level of a running back league like Nick Chubb is, and Kareem Hunt is just probably just at the cusp of there, probably just very good or good at this point in his career. But regardless, it's a good game. I think it could definitely be a high scoring game yet again, just like it was last year. But I'm taking the Chargers to win the straight up. I would take them to cover the spread. I think 3 points can be enough for them to cover. I think they just barely cover the spread, but I would definitely take them to win the straight up. And the reason why I take this the straight up is because of two things. One, because you're playing Jacoby Brissett. We've seen Jacoby Brissett already lose games that he was not predicted to lose in. He's lost to the Jets and he's lost to the Falcons, where they were both of those games they were favored by quite a few points. So that's something to consider of too. And also Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert absolutely went berserk last year on this defense of the Browns, and they couldn't really get to him. They had a hard time stopping him. He'll be able to do. I think he's doing just fine without Keenan Allen being there. But I also think too, when you play Jacoby Brissett, I think the pass rush of the Chargers needs to be consistent, which is something that they've been fine. I think they're a lot better of a defense than they were last year. But there's also some issues too, and some questions of if they're going to be able to get to the offensive lineman of the Browns, which is pretty strong. Are they going to be able to get past them and be able to get 2% in terms of not giving up some big plays, which is something that's very likely possible. I think if Brissett is under pressure like that and he has to make some throws, the Chargers defense and their pass rush can definitely get to them. If they're all playing at least. I believe Joey Bosa is still out of this game. I think Khalil Mack is back. I'm not 100% sure on that. I believe he's back for this game, or I don't think he was really ever out. I think he was dealing with a little bit of an injury, but I don't believe Joey Bosa is still in. I believe he's still on IR, so that could be a little bit of a problem. And if Khalil Mack can get you know, can get some consistency and get to the quarterback, they can do just that. But I think it's going to be a difficult time for the defense to uh, be able to slow down the run or give up any big plays. So I'm taking the Chargers to win straight up, and I would probably take them to cover the spread. I think they can do just enough to barely cover the spread. All right, next game we've got the Houston Texans, the what some consider to be the worst team in the NFL right now, and they're playing um, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 7-point favorites. Definitely very possible for them to win by 7 or more points, just given with how dreadful the Texans have been at the start of the season. I've seen some flashes. I've talked about it with the Texans. There are some things I like about them. I think their defense shows some flashes here and there, and they have some decent secondary that can do some things here and there, but and which has kept some games kind of close. They tied against the Colts. They should have probably beaten the Broncos too, but they didn't. They lost to them in a low scoring game, and they probably could have came back and beaten the Chargers too, but I think they were just getting too tired up, and I don't really know exactly how they were able to come back the way that they did, and they really shouldn't have, considering of how lacking of talent that the Texans do have. But I do give them credit where credit is due. They do have a decent, not the greatest defense, but there is some flashes where they do have some moments, and they can, they can slow down some teams sometimes. The only thing they really struggle with, and they're terrible in, and I would absolutely believe that they are probably the worst run defense in the league right now. Absolutely. There's no question about it. Austin Eckler ran all over them. Jonathan Taylor has ran all over them already this year, and so on and so forth. Like, top running backs can just absolutely run all over their defense with no problems. I can see Jacksonville and James Robinson getting back to that mentality of doing that. I can see Trevor Lawrence just having a field day against the Texans in terms of the weapons that they do have, and they do have some very underrated and I guess you could say some underwhelming receivers that play really well, that has been playing really well, like Christian Kirk, for example. So I would take the Jags to win this game, most definitely. I think the Jags are definitely a more of a talented team. I think they're better, they're faster, they're more explosive, they're doing all the right things. I think Doug Peterson does enough to get a win against the Texans. And I would definitely, if you are going to bet on this game, 7 points is a lot for a divisional game. I think it's a lot of points. Because this is a divisional game, I don't know if I would recommend you betting on this game or not, because I think 7 points is a lot, which is, I think it's very possible that the Jags can cover 7, no question about it. But I think for a division game, it's kind of tough to really bet on them because either team can possibly win in a division game. Anything can really happen. So it's a little bit questionable for me to really confidently say that I would bet on the 7 points. But I think Jacksonville wins the straight up, no question about it. I think they can win the straight up. I think they avenge their losses that they've had against the Texans in years past. I think they finally get over that hump of losing to the Texans, and they beat them at home. And if you're going to bet on this game, probably bet on the money line, maybe the over under. If you're going to, guys, I'm still learning more about betting tools. And if you really want to get more into the betting aspect of things, or if you're really into betting, I watch a lot of videos more on Bottom Line View. If you guys want to subscribe to him, please go ahead and do that. Subscribe to him, watch his content, and he really does a good job. He's very similar to me. He's very in depth. He explains things very well. He probably explains things better than I do, and he might give you a better idea of um, what games to really bet on. But if you want to bet on this game, the 7 points, obviously that's your choice. That's your decision if you think he would do that. But I would probably be conservative and probably do the money line or the over under just to be on the safe side. All right, the Atlanta Falcons next. The Atlanta Falcons are traveling to Tampa Bay, or some people will call them Tampa Bay. The Bucks. The Bucks are 8.5 favorites. Again, just like with the Texans Jags game, I think it's a lot of points to bet on a divisional game like that. I think it's just a lot of points. I think it's too much points to really bet on. Definitely not because it's something that couldn't happen. I mean, this game could definitely get out of hand very easily. Tom Brady, with all the issues he's dealing with right now, with the divorce with Giselle, he's dealing with supposedly with a shoulder and finger injury right now. We don't really know how true that really is, and then how much that's really going to affect him. But I don't think it's really going to affect him that much. He should have all of his receivers back. Godwin played last week. He was a little bit quiet last week, but I think he can get himself back into the offense and be able to make some big plays again. Mike Evans will be a top favorite in the red zone. Leonard Fournette will be back. So they'll get some people back. Julio Jones, I'm not sure what's going on with Julio Jones. I don't know if he's going to be he's still kind of questionable. We don't know if he's really playing in this game. If he does play in this game, that helps Brady out a lot as a deep threat. So that would be really nice if he does come back. Russell Gage should be playing in this game as well. May see some time in the game. and I believe that's all I'm thinking of right now. Defense kind of was very lacking last week against Kansas City. They let Kansas City walk all over them, and it was not pretty. I don't think that happens here. I think the Falcons can try and do what they can, but I think this is the toughest test that the Falcons are facing already this year. They've gotten away and they've scored some, over 20 points at least in their first 4 games, which is, very impressive for a team that was supposed to be 0-17 this year, or at least, a 1 or 2 win team and very bad. But they're playing better football than people anticipated them to be, which I was kind of low on them too. I wasn't expecting them to really come off this hot in the season offensively. I kind of thought they would be lacking with Marcus Mariota, who's this is his first year starting since the 2019 season with Tennessee, and nobody really knows what to expect of that, and neither does Falcons fans. So I kind of get where that logic comes from. Tough game. I think it's a tough game here, but I think the Bucs ultimately, at the end of the day, are a better team. Um, Tom Brady's just a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. He can obliterate the defense of the Falcons. That's not very good. Good secondary that I guess could keep up with some of the receivers on the team, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is very hard to defend. I don't think there's many secondary or defenses that really can cover up with them as well as like other teams do. So I'm taking the Bucs to win this game straight up. As far as the bet goes, 8.5. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points to cover. But definitely think about that if you're going to bet on this game, because it is a division game. It's very hard to make a judgment on division games and in terms of what you're going to be betting on them. It's a tough one to decide, but straight up's easy. But I would probably think about the betting aspect of it. Maybe the over-under would be better. See what the parlay is. Yeah, that's all I got to say on that. So, all right, next game. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are going to be facing their toughest team yet. I mean, they faced a lot of tough teams, but this is definitely the toughest team yet. And by far, right now this season, this is the biggest spread I've seen already this year. The Buffalo Bills, who are 14 points even, favored against the Steelers. Okay. Tough game to really analyze. I mean, obviously, the straight up would be the Bills, for sure. I think the Bills are way better than the Steelers. The Steelers are just dreadful. I can't watch a Pittsburgh Steelers game anymore. Just how dreadful their offense has been. They haven't been able to do anything. I don't think Kenny Pickett is really going to be able to overcome any of the challenges that they do have on offense with offensive line, to Najee Harris, who's not non-existent, has not been playing anything, haven't done anything yet for this team. Defense that's injured, very inconsistent. They get into their hot streaks, and then they just slowly fade away because I think of how much they're on the field. So Bills, definitely an easy game. Should be easy straight up. But as far as the betting goes, that's a lot of points. 14 points, that's a lot of points to bet on. I could definitely see it being a low-scoring game. For sure, I could see Josh Allen and the high-flying offense of the Bills struggling against the Steelers' defense in their 7 front. For sure, but 14 points is a lot of points to bet on. I'm not sure if I would take that. I think that's just asking for a lot for them to win by 14. That's a lot of points. That's a very big spread. But I'll take the Bills to win the straight up. As far as the betting goes, bet on the over-under on this game. That's all I would say on that one. But the Bills, they're an easier team to figure out. They're better. They're way better, bigger, stronger, more athletic than the Steelers are. The Steelers just can't get anything started on offense, and they're not going to be able to do that against a daunting Bills team that is at least a top 3 unit that a lot of teams are struggling with this year. Unless if you're the Ravens offense, then might have a little bit of an easier time, but they should beat the Steelers. All right, next game, the Miami Dolphins were 3.5 favorites to the New York Jets in New York. It's I can see why this game is favored by 3.5. I think that's very reasonable for them to make that spread. I think it makes more sense as far as that goes. Um, the Dolphins are out with Tua, as we all know. They're out with Tua, so they got Teddy Bridgewater as their starting quarterback for this game, and probably for a little bit until Tua recovers, or if really Tua recovers before the end of the year, just off with the injury, just knowing what happened with the injury with Tua. So I think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough. I think he's serviceable. You can win games with Teddy Bridgewater. I think he might be a little shaky at first with really getting acclimated to the offense, maybe a little bit more shiftier with getting used to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle's speed. So I expect this game kind of to be more conservative, like a typical Teddy Bridgewater game where they run the ball, make some short throws. He doesn't make a lot of plays. I could see it being like more set to Teddy Bridgewater tempo, which slows the game of the pace down, and they could possibly end up being on top of this game. As far as the Jets go, I don't think the Jets are as bad of a team as people want to make them out to be. Yeah, they're not great, obviously. They have a lot of holes. They're struggling in some areas, yes, but what team doesn't struggle in areas, I know a lot of people aren't very high on Robert Saleh and the coaching staff. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Saleh either, but what I like about him and what he has to this team is his bravado. I think he brings a lot of energy to this young, feisty, and hungry Jets team who really wants to make a name for themselves, be a playoff team again, and do some really big things with this young team that they do have. And so I get all that. I think they do have the talent. I think it's very likely that they do beat the Dolphins at home. I think just considering them playing up here in New Jersey, they should be called the New Jersey Jets and Giants, but they're not. They're called New York Jets and Giants. I feel like it's tough to play. If you play in like a warm climate like in Florida or Georgia, you name it, or if you even play in a dome like the Saints and the Falcons do, if you play in a dome, that's also very tough too. That's a tough environment to really play in too. So you may not really be exactly used to that either. It definitely makes things tough. It's a tough game. It's a division game. Definitely could cost the Dolphins. The second. I believe they're in second place right now. Could cost them the second place spot in the AFC East if the Jets do win, but I can definitely see the Jets winning for sure, just considering of their situation of being in a colder climate right now than the Dolphins and so on and so forth. But I think I'm going to take – it's a tough one. It really is a tough game to choose. Dolphins or the Jets. This is a really tough game for me to choose because I feel like both teams – Dolphins on paper are definitely a better team, but they're playing the Jets in, MetLife Stadium. That's a colder climate. It's different weather conditions up here. That could affect the Dolphins' performance. That's one thing I think about. But I think just to be safe than sorry, I would probably take the Dolphins to win this game. I think they can win it just by the skin of their teeth. Not sure if I would have them cover the spread. I think 3.5 is a lot to ask for someone like Teddy Bridgewater to do. I think they can win like a last second field goal that gets them to like a point or 2 points. Not sure if I can definitely safely say that they cover 3.5. It's very likely that they could, but I don't know if I can safely say that because I just think with the injury of Tua right now and Teddy Bridgewater in the game, that might slow the game down a little bit and might call for a closer game than really what the paper shows. So that's why I'm going with the Dolphins. But 3.5 is a very large margin for that kind of a game in a division game. And if you're talking Teddy Bridgewater, guys, I love Teddy Bridgewater. He's a good, serviceable quarterback that can do a lot of, really good things. And if I want to manage the game and everything, he's the guy I would want in there for sure. But I think with this kind of a team, the electrifying offense of the Dolphins that you have, I think you really got to really make some big plays. But I don't think Teddy Bridgewater has enough in him to do that. And I don't think the coaching staff will force that on him to really do, throw deep balls down the field to Tyreek and Jalen. So that's how I feel on it. But I think they'll still do just enough to win, I think. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets found a way to beat them, though, either at home. All right, next we've got the Chicago Bears, the awful, the dreadful Chicago Bears, who are 2-2. I'm not sure if they really should be 2-2. I think they should be a little bit worse than that. But they're playing the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, who are 7-point favorites. I would say if this game was in Chicago, it would be a much different story. I would say I wouldn't take the 7 points, but I'll tell you this right now. Again, it's a division game. Yes, I would say that division games are usually not the kind of games that you want to waste your money on or bet on because of anything can really happen in a division game. I think anything can happen in this kind of a game too. If you think about it, in years past, Kirk Cousins has not had the most successful stat line against the Bears. He's thrown a lot of picks against this team. He's been sacked a lot against this team, especially in Chicago. It's the one place that he just does not play very well in. But the Bears right now are just not a very good team. Their offense can't get anything going. Justin Fields looking like he's running around. He's the only one that's really making any kind of plays. He's running around with like a chicken with his head cut off, and he's not really, passing the ball. They don't pass the ball a lot. They rely more on their run game, but who else do they really have to run with? David Montgomery's out, so they got to rely a lot on Khalil Herbert to get some big runs in. And Justin Fields did not throw any interceptions, which we know is something that he did last year, and he's doing that yet again. But on the other side, though, their defense is really – I think their defense is still pretty good. I think their defense is still good. They can still get to Kirk Cousins. I think they can give him some problems. But I'm taking the Vikings to win this game straight up, and I'm taking them for this kind of a reason. It's because they're playing in Minnesota. That's a tough place to play. They're playing in Minnesota. It's a tough place to play. It's not Chicago. It's not the Chicago environment. But I think some kind of success, I believe Kirk and the Vikings have had when they do play at home. I think they have a strong fan base where I think they can be successful at home. I think they can take on the Bears. I think they can do whatever they want on the Bears, pass, run at home. I'm taking the Vikings to win. I think they're going to win this game. I don't think they'll win the second time. We'll see once the season later goes on for me to make that kind of a prediction. But right now, I'm taking the Vikings to win. I'll take them to win the straight up. But as far as the what do you call it? The spread goes, yeah, I would say they could probably win by 7. I think the spread wouldn't be a bad idea too. But take a look at the parlay, though, too, guys. Take a look at that parlay, see what they have, what they expect Justin Jefferson to do. He might have a big game in this game. And maybe Dalvin Cook could have some time, too. I think, and that was one thing I wanted to mention about the Bears is their defense has been pretty good. Not as electrifying as it used to be, but I did see a glazing hole last week with the Bears, and that's their run defense, and they can't stop the run for anything. Saquon did whatever in the world that he absolutely wanted to do on that dreadful run defense of the Bears. And I think Dalvin Cook, who has been kind of quiet this year, probably could have a big game here. I could see him having a big game here. I think the defense, no matter what kind of defense you put up against the Bears, I think any defense can perform well against the Bears considering of just how bad and dreadful they really are. Like, I'm not even joking, guys. The Bears' offense is just so dreadful. Like, it is really hard to watch. That's why I'm taking the Vikings. And if you're going to bet on the spread, that would be fine. But also look into the parlay, too, and see what they got in the parlay this week for that game. All right, next game, we've got the Tennessee Titans, the team that I said last night. It looked like they're coming back on the right track a little bit. They might still struggle in terms of the passing game without A.J. Brown. It's tough, but they're playing the Washington Commanders, who have not been very impressive at all yet this season. Their offense has done some things well, Carson Wentz had one really good game, and after that, he just fell through the face of the earth and just isn't playing what he did in week one. And I think that kind of continues here with a strong defense of the Titans. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this game, but straight up is the Titans. Yes, I would take the spread on this game and look into the parlay too, because I think Ryan Tannehill probably could have an absolute field day, take advantage of the secondary. He could have a field day. He can make some big passes. Derrick Henry can run all over the defense that's supposed to be very good on paper, but has not done anything yet to do that. On the offensive side for the Commanders, yeah, they're just not playing very well. Their receivers are good. They have good receivers. Antonio Gibson's a good back, but Carson Wentz, I just don't know what's up with him. He's just not playing up to expectations of what Ron Rivera was hoping for him to be playing at that kind of a level. I don't know what it is. He's just not playing up to the level, up to par of where he's supposed to be at this point in his career, which is a little disappointing. A little disappointing, and it probably wouldn't be too shocking if he got benched eventually in favor of Taylor Heineke, who may not be really any better than Carson Wentz, but he can win you some games. He knows how to win the games in the NFL. He's done it before. He's had some good games, had some good moments, has had some good connections with the teams and the players and whatnot. So I could see that definitely being a possibility too of seeing. But I'm taking the Titans to win. I think their defense can hold up the struggling offense in Carson Wentz, and I think their offense can also take advantage of what's lacking in the Commanders' defensive side. So, give me the Titans, give me Derrick Henry, give me the spread. I do it. Let's go. All right, next we've got the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks who are playing against the Saints. The Saints who are at home are 5.5 favorites. All right, what do I think about this game? Well, let me just say this right now. The Seahawks, yes, they're not a great team, but the way they've been playing well lately, the way they've been playing, the way that Geno Smith has been playing football offensively, DK Metcalf, who's been a big help to them, Tyler Lockett, who's had some good moments here and there, Rashad Penny, who ran all over the Lions defense last night on Sunday. Crazy. The Seahawks have not been playing all that bad. I don't think they've been really all that bad of a team. I kind of figured earlier in the season, I know losing Russell Wilson's like a big loss for you, but really you're doing just fine with Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith has been hated on a lot in this league for such a long time, for God knows what. He's just not been very well liked around the league, and I see why. If you're a Jets fan and he was bad with the Jets, I get all that, but really with the Seahawks and the talent that he does have, he really is making some good connections. And I think with him getting that opportunity to play with this team last year and filling in for Russell Wilson last year, I think helped him build some chemistry with the team. And it was good that Pete Carroll did keep him in. I think it was a good thing that he did start him over Drew Lock. I think if you have Drew Lock, they're absolutely positively losing this game. But Geno Smith does give them some lean room where I think they could be successful. Not sure if DK Metcalf is going to be playing in this game. He's still very questionable. He was injured last week against the Lions, so he's still questionable for this week. So we'll see if he does play or not. Even if he does play, that's going to help a lot for Geno, and he can really make some big plays for this team. Now you're looking at the Saints. The Saints are also banged up too. They're dealing with a lot of injuries with Alvin Kamara, who is questionable this week. So is Michael Thomas. I believe Jameis Winston, as far as I know, I believe Jameis Winston is still going to be out, and Andy Dalton is going to play in his favor, which in some cases probably would be a better bet for Andy Dalton to play in this game, because I think with someone as the experience as Andy Dalton has with being the journeyman quarterback as he's been the last few years, I think he has enough experience. I think he can handle some of the pressure, and I think he doesn't turn the ball over nearly as much as Jameis Winston does. So I think he helps the team out a little bit. I think the Saints will do all the right things. As far as them winning, is it very possible that they win this game? Yeah, absolutely. I think they can obliterate the Seahawks defense that's absolutely terrible. But at the same time, though, too, it's tough because the Seahawks are really not playing all that bad of a team. They're not playing all that bad of games that they've been playing lately offensively. It's a tough one to really it's a toss up, honestly. I think either team can win these game. Either one of these teams can win this game. Not sure if I really like the Saints at -5.5, but I would probably say, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go with the home team. I think the Saints is a tough place to play in New Orleans in the Dome. I think it's a tough place to play. Uh, and I think their defense holds up. They might be able to hold up with Geno. They might do just enough to hold up on Geno, but I think Andy Dalton can probably make some big moments and magic happen like he was able to try to attempt to do last week. So I know it's been a while since the Saints won, but I think they'll win this game. I think they'll bounce back on track. I think the Saints are still a good team. I just think they have a lot more issues to really deal with right now. We'll see how Andy Dalton does with the Saints. I think he'll be okay. I think he can be serviceable and get you a win here with his experience in the league. That's how I look at it. So I'm going to take the Saints to win. As far as the spread goes, I would ignore it for this week. I just feel like 5.5. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to win by that much, considering of all the injuries and the issues that the Saints have been having. All right, guys, I only got about 4 games left. So I got this one, then I got 3 other games after this. So really 4 more games to really cover and talk about, and then we'll be done. So thank you guys for tuning in with me. I know I got another person and I saw 3 people on at one point. If you guys are able to right now, hit that subscribe button on this YouTube channel, hit that notification bell as well. Let me know what you guys think and let me know what you guys like for me to do in the near future, and like what other videos that you guys would want me to do on this channel, because your help is really going to help me come a long way as a football fanatic. And if you're a football fanatic like me, you'll want me to succeed. So help me out here. Subscribe, like, comment, you name it. All right, next game. The San Francisco 49ers, who are, I believe that's 6.5. Yes, they're 6.5 favorites to the Carolina Panthers, who have been very dreadful. Short, sweet, to the point. 49ers win. Absolutely. And I feel bad. I feel bad picking the 49ers here for a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously, yeah, the 49ers are easily a favorite team. No questions asked about that. But I also feel bad for picking them because I also feel bad for the Carolina Panthers, that I have to pick against the Carolina Panthers. I want them to have some success. But right now, guys, with that Panthers offense, man, it's just so bad. Baker Mayfield is just not playing consistent. He can't get anything started. The play calling's terrible. Ben McAdoo's terrible. Matt Rule is just not. He's not coaching to the expectations of what he was expected to do early in the season or the last couple of years that he's been a coach here. It's just not working out. This team is just an absolute mess. I don't see them really winning many games this year, and it's a shame because they do have one really good, legit, what some might consider a future Hall of Famer in Christian McCaffrey. He's just an absolute beast. He's the best running back in the league probably right now, or one of the best at least. It's a shame that he has to play for a terrible franchise and a very dysfunctional organization right now with this team, and just dealing with Baker Mayfield's, baby stuff. So it's tough. It's tough really to pick against them because I really want them to win. I want the Panthers to succeed, but I can't pick this offense to do anything. I just cannot do it. After last week's game against the Cardinals, who, by the way, their defense is also trash, like the Seahawks. They're also trash, and they only mustered 16 points. You can't do that against bad defenses. That just shows you how bad this offense is. So 49ers win big, definitely. I would definitely take them to cover the spread. No questions asked about that. 100%. All right, next game. Kept that short. Now we'll go on to the next game. The Philadelphia Eagles, who are 5-point favorites against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have been surprising me a little bit this year. I'm not going to lie. I was not expecting them to be good. I didn't think they're Not so much their offense, but I thought their defense was going to give up a lot. And yes, I was right about that. They were. But just because without DeAndre Hopkins, I thought this team would struggle. I thought Kyler Murray would struggle a little bit, but he's honestly been doing not all that bad without DeAndre Hopkins. And we'll see when he comes back. He should be coming back, you know, later on this season, I believe. I just don't know a specific game yet of when he does come back. But the Cardinals have been playing better than I was anticipating them to. Now, on the other side of the Eagles are 4-0. Congratulations, Eagles fans. You are the last undefeated team of the NFL. Congratulations, 4-0. That's good for you. Do the Eagles win this game? Do I think they can win this game? Definitely a possibility. And I would take the Eagles to win this game straight up. Maybe even cover the spread. Maybe. I don't know. Look into the parlay for that. But I think they win this game because I think right now they're probably the best running team right now in this league. They run the ball really well. Jalen Hurts makes some good plays. He can make some big plays down the field and whatnot. He's gotten somewhat better in the passing game. I think he's better. I think he feels more comfortable to this offense now because I feel like with A.J. Brown, it makes a big difference for them. And that's why they're having some success with that. So I would say the Eagles do win this game. And I think their defense, especially that consistent pass rush and their improved run defense, I think their defense can slow down Murray and the offense. I think they can do Angela pretty well and get a win against this Cardinals team. I think there's a lot to, appreciate from the Eagles. I know I haven't given them really a lot of credit yet, but I am giving them credit now for what they are doing right. I think their running game right now is probably the best in the NFL right now and very explosive. Jalen Hurts is getting better. I think really the beneficial thing of him is having A.J. Brown involved in the offense now. And the defense is playing a lot better than I expected them to play this year. A lot better. A consistent pass rush, which is something you never really see the Eagles do have, is a consistent pass rush or a consistent run game. And both of those things have been there since then. So, taking the Eagles. As far as the spread goes, if you feel like you want to take the spread, I mean, more power to you. I would be too shocked if they did cover the spread. So I would take the spread, and I would probably take the Eagles to win the spread up. Straight up. No pause. No question on that. All right, next. The Dallas Cowboys, who are playing the Los Angeles Rams in Los Angeles on Sunday. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites in this game. All right, so just going to say this right now, okay? Right now, the Cowboys' defense is, especially in their pass rush and that defensive line, that's their interior defensive line, that's very good. They should be at least a top 5, maybe top 10 unit right now. That's how good of defense the Cowboys are playing. The Rams are struggling to really move the ball. They can't run the ball. Matthew Stafford looks very skittish. He doesn't really feel comfortable out there unless if he's throwing to Cooper Kupp. And I think the Cowboys can upset and beat the Rams in Los Angeles for that reason. I think their pass rush can get a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford, who's been struggling under pressure this year. He's been making a ton of mistakes and throwing a bunch of different interceptions left and right. Their run game is just non-existent right now. I don't know where this run game is right now with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. And their defense has been solid. Not great, but solid. But they can't get you a win in this kind of a league. They just really can't. And it's going to be tough to really go against this Cowboys 7 front on defense if you are playing on that Rams offensive line. That's all I'm going to really say on that. As far as the Cowboys offense goes, they also could struggle a little bit too. So if you're going to bet on this game, I would avoid the spread and probably vote on the over and under. I could see this being like a low-scoring game where both defenses are holding up both of their end of the stick, and eventually one of these teams end up winning I could definitely see like something like that happening. But I'm going to take the upset. I'm not a Cowboys fan because I'm a Giants fan, but I'll take the Cowboys for the upset. It'll be a low-scoring game. Both defenses will be fine, but I think at the end of the day, Cooper Rush right now is playing better football than Matthew Stafford, which is pretty sad because Cooper Rush isn't even a starter in this league. Now, could he be a starter in this league at some point is a different story. Well, maybe one of these days I'll talk more about that. But right now, I think the Cowboys are just very underappreciated right now with some of the things that they do well in that's getting overshadowed, and that's really their defense. So that's why I'm taking the Cowboys. I think at the end of the day in this game, I think they can do a lot to cover Cooper Kupp. They'll double team him and cover him up good, and that's going to force Matthew Stafford to be like so frazzled and very skittish and just be all over the place and can't find a consistent, uh, you know, open receiver or tight end of Tyler Higbee. He'll struggle in this game, I think. So I'll take the Cowboys to win. I'll take the Cowboys to win. All right, two more games. Next, we've got I believe will probably be the game of the week, and the game that will probably be for the lead in the division of the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals, who are going to Baltimore on Sunday Night Football to play the Ravens, who are favored by 3 points. All right, both of these teams are getting back, I guess you could say, on the right track. I think the Bengals are more back on the right track than the Ravens are right now. I just don't see a lot of hot and cold things I'm seeing with the Ravens as far as defense. I just don't trust them at all to win you or close you out any close games. If they're going to win this game, it's probably going to end up being a shootout with Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow if you're going to end up winning this game. I think both defenses will have some difficulties stopping each other, especially the inconsistencies and the hot and coldness of what we've seen with this Ravens defense. The defense is just not playing the kind of defense that they were expected to play early in the season. So it's a tough game for me to pick. But on the other side for the Bengals, I like what the Bengals have done. I think the offensive line is still an issue. No questions asked about that. Joe Burrow will get sacked quite a few times in this game because what the Ravens do well in, and the Bengals already know, the Ravens will blitz them like crazy. That's going to be the only way that you will get any kind of pressure on the Bengals if you consistently blitz them on every single play. Because that's the only way the Ravens get some kind of consistency or some kind of pressure on a quarterback. That's the only way they'll win. They'll keep themselves in the game if they do that. Because with what I see right now, the Bengals have the best wide receiver duo right now with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Right now, I would say. And those two receivers are very hard to stop. We saw that last week when Xavier Howard was covering T. Higgins and Burrow threw that pass to Higgins and he ended up catching it and running with it for a touchdown. It was like I think it was like a 56-yarder touchdown. It wasn't a deep throw pass, but it just showed you that T. Higgins just schooled Xavier Howard in that game. So tough game to pick. Definitely a tough game to pick because it's a division game. As for the division title at the moment, but it's a tough game because I just don't. It's tough for me to pick because I just don't know what kind of a defense we're going to see of the Ravens that night. I really don't. Tough one to pick. It's a really tough one to pick. But I don't know. Do the Bengals go 3-2, or do the Ravens go 3-2? That's a game to really think about, ladies and gentlemen. If you're doing your straight up picks. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Yeah, I probably would say, and what could be a slight upset, but not really. I would say the Bengals will win. I feel like right now, the weapons that Joe Burrow and company has is way better than what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have. And I trust the defense of the Bengals that's been pretty consistent, been playing very good football lately. I would take their defense over the Ravens' defense. That's how I look at it. So I'll take the Ravens to win this game, even probably the +3. All right? Possibly the +3 for the Bengals. So that's all I got to say on that. All right, and the last game, Monday Night Football, is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders, who are winless no more, are facing their AFC West division foe, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are favored by 7 points. You know how bad I really want to go with the Raiders here? You know how bad I really want to go with the Raiders to win this game? I just don't know if I can, man. I really don't know if I can. Not saying that they can keep this game competitive. I think they could. I think Derek Carr could have a good day against a very overrated Chiefs defense in terms of passing game. Maybe he might get the running game going with Josh Jacobs, maybe. But it's also going to be very hard to stop Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City offense. Mahomes has done an excellent job in terms of passing the ball very well. He's done a very good job lately with torching defenses like he did last week with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did an excellent job with that, which was a little bit shocking. Was not expecting him to have the field day that he did or the near perfect game that he did against the Bucs defense. But I think Patrick Mahomes will have another field day against a very bad Raiders secondary. I think he'll have another field day. I'm sure he can score a lot of touchdowns. He'll throw for a lot of touchdowns. He may even run for another touchdown. Regardless of how the Chiefs win, the Chiefs will win this game. I think a lot of it is going to be because of Patrick Mahomes and him throwing the ball down the field, torching that awful Raiders secondary. But on the other side, the Raiders could keep it competitive as a division game. They could keep it competitive. Derek Carr could have a good game. He could have some good throws. He might score some touchdowns here and there. But I think at the end of the day, Andy Reid, you're playing Andy Reid. You're playing Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead. That's tough. You don't just win just like that in Arrowhead. That's like you got to have some kind of miracle in order to win in Arrowhead. And it's still early in the season. The Raiders will have time to win some games. They'll have a lot of time to figure out what their identity is. But I just think if they do find a way to beat the Chiefs, they're going to have to do it very convincingly. And they're going to have to really, really, really put a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes, which I don't think the Raiders defense has enough juice in them to be able to do. So I'll take the Chiefs to win. As far as the spread, not sure if I would take the spread. Maybe focus more on the over-under. I think 7 points for a division game is a lot. I'm not saying it can't happen. Very well could be the case. It could happen that they cover the spread. But it's a division game. It's tough. And you just never really know. So, Chiefs, straight up, over-under, bet. That's what I would do for this week. All right, everybody, I believe that is it. We have gone through every single game for week 5. As always, please, before I sign off for tonight, please make sure you put a like on this video and also drop some comments down below on this video in terms of letting me know what you guys like about all the videos that I've been posting so far and the content that you've liked. Also, get involved in conversations with me, guys. I really want to know what your football analysis is like right now and your analytics on football. That's what I really am interested in talking with you guys about, and I want to be able to talk about it on the show someday. So please drop a like, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are liking about this channel so far and what I can do to make it even better. Also, too, guys, if you can also, because it's been a while, please hit that subscribe button as well when you come onto the channel, and also hit that notification bell as well. That notification bell will give you every single time that I go live on this channel. And so that way you guys can be alerted and be able to tune in on any videos that I have going on for you guys at that time. So like, comment, subscribe, you name it. And that is going to conclude my week 5 predictions of the 2022 NFL season. So let me know what you guys liked about this video. Let me know down below in the comments on what predictions that you guys want to make on your analysis on each game for this week. Like always, guys, I thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's a small crowd usually. Hopefully we'll get up there someday, but I'm not too worried about it. I know it's going to be small for a little bit, but we'll get back up there soon. We'll get some more people tuning in and be able to, love and talk about football, That's all I really care about. So without further ado, guys, thank you again for tuning in. This is your boy James from JP Football Fanatics saying peace out, and we will see you all next time. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a great Wednesday night and have fun watching Thursday Night Football tomorrow night against the Colts and the Broncos. Thank you guys again for tuning in. God bless. Thank you.